Greetings. This is part 4 of the Hometown FM podcast, discussing all things found in the Nintendo Direct trailer and analyzing Deltarune beyond that. Before listening to this, I recommend you check out the previous 3 videos from Black Chestnut, Shiruba, and Dante's Integrity. The 4-part playlist will be found here on my channel as well as theirs. I would also like to mention Zeni, the member of our podcast without a channel. Shout out to them for drawing all of our awesome avatars, the ones you see right now. Without further ado, enjoy the podcast.
Oh my god, the only theories I wrote down here, or the only things I wrote down was Noel Cliffhanger and Blue Theory. God damn it, I wish I wrote some more. What are on your notes?
I am really gunning for some sort of light world encounter, like a fight with the Undertale UI.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I agree.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I know, but like I keep rotating it in my head because I think it's really funny to imagine like it happening very suddenly as like a surprise. Yeah. And I keep imagining, because we know that Miss Holiday is the reason why there's no crime in Hometown, and we have gotten the implication that she kicked the wet-nosed bandits' asses like outside her house. Yeah. That's the implication. So like I straight up think she's gonna show up in a Santa suit instead of like a karate suit. It's gonna be the Santa Claus outfit, and the belt is gonna be like the red and white 6-degree judo belt, which is red and white. You got to put a picture of it in post, like, because it looks like a candy cane. It looks like a candy cane. So that's my. I guess that's a crack theory, but goddamn, do I want to fight Mayor Holiday?
I love how your love for martial arts shows here.
If she's denied or something, then you can fight her.
No,
yeah,
I agree with this theory for the most part. Yeah. I do. I do think we're gonna fight the mayor specifically in the light world in chapter 5. It's gonna be after the dark world segment, so Rudy will be dead. Rudy has just died. You're now going to the mayor to get the key to the bunker in order to find Des. This is what's going on. She, of course, does not want us going into the bunker because that's where Des died, obviously. So she's going to stand in our way. It's going to be just like the Toriel fight in Undertale, right? She's not really going to attack us, and we're not going to really be able to attack her, but we are going to have to act and pick specific acts in order to break down her like mental fortitude and be able to spare her and get the key to the bunker. In order,
Mayor Holiday just beats the shit out of some teenagers.
Yes.
I don't think there's really gonna be like a battle.
No, it's too world. Good of an idea to not use, and I doubt that Toby hasn't come up with it himself.
Okay,
but like the light world compared to like the dark world is like the world we escaped to, you know. It's like
the light world is Undertale. Like time out. The light world is Undertale. The real world is the real world. The light world is Undertale. The dark world is Deltarune. Right? There's layers to this.
Yeah. Okay. Here's Shiruba. Here's an alternative thing that I've actually talked about with some folks, is that instead of like a battle, it's more like the dating start scene in Undertale, except it's it's like a really tense, awkward moment with the mayor, and you have to like ask her questions, and she asks you questions in return. So like it's an act-based fight. There's no violence in it. It's just like, and it's like.
What about the UI?
We're gonna do we should do the bad idea because it's a good idea. It's good. It makes it better. Not doing it. I feel like not doing it is like a wasted potential.
It would be so awesome and so cool, but like he avoided like save points in the light world. And
but he's already gone to do. First off, he's already doing save points in the light world. He's already gone back.
But
second off, he also specifically wanted to make the light world as Undertale as possible. So I feel like having the Undertale battle UI when we go into a battle in a dark world, of course it's going to happen.
Yeah, you know? But people are already seeing Deltarune as its own thing now. So
that's true. That is true.
You don't really need another Undertale. You don't need an Undertale battle thing to really to really make that statement again because
I don't care. It's because it will be cool. Have you ever considered that we need more hype moments and aura, and it would be good?
That, you know what? I'm actually starting to see.
We need to have a confrontation with the mayor at some point.
Okay, then mayor is the nightmare.
No, we have to confront the mayor because we need the key to the bunker, and she has the key to the bunker.
She's the knight.
No, Chris is the knight.
She has the keyblade.
She has the keyblade. No,
she has the keyblade.
She has the key. Yeah, she doesn't have the keyblade. She has the keyblade.
Actually, so two things. I'm actually starting to see Shiruba's point. Like, I think what Shiruba is saying is that, like, a light world battle could potentially harm, like, Toby's artistic vision for the game by,
if he
like,
wanted it to not be like Undertale, he wouldn't have included any of the Undertale shit. He wants it to be like Undertale.
Like, right, but
like you're missing what the actual game is.
This is a world you're escaping to.
No way.
That doesn't matter.
If it's like that in the light world, then that's why is it in the light world? It should be in the dark world.
But the battles aren't the same. There's no TP in the light world.
But it's still like an RPG battle, random encounter-esque stuff. It's still like a video game.
I think what Shiruba's trying to say is like that. I lost it. Fuck.
I don't think anyone besides Shiruba would have a problem with it when it actually happens in game.
I wouldn't have a problem with it per se. It's just I'm seeing Shiruba's point. Like I'm seeing it. Like I think.
Yeah, I also.
I'm starting to agree with Shiruba
that not doing it would be massively wasting potential.
Because basically
there's a lot of other cool stuff that will happen in the game. I don't think if this one.
I'm just saying, if the confrontation with the mayor is literally us just walking up to her, having like 4 dialogue boxes that play out normally, and then she gives us the fucking key, that's fucking lame. That's absolutely fucking lame. Especially when we're breaking the news that her husband just fucking died, and there's no fucking dramatic flair to it at all. That's fucking lame.
I think the Undertale UI. So I remember what I was going to say. The point that I think Shiruba was making, or the point that Shiruba was making, is that the Undertale UI was added for shock factor more than anything else. And now that we're about to be 4 chapters in, we no longer need that shock factor.
Okay, but you're not going to be expecting a battle because it hasn't happened yet. And so when it happens like 5 chapters in, it's still going to shock you.
So do they have hit points in the light world?
Undertale UI. Yeah, but like I kind of do see like, but you do also need to make the perspective of just like, you know, people who haven't even played Undertale playing Deltarune for the first time. It's just why the hell is this segment just entirely different from the other one?
The game is specifically designed
for people who have played Undertale first, so I don't think that matters.
But people are going to be playing Deltarune first. That's just
it'll happen, and they'll just be confused on that part because they don't get the reference because they played the games in the wrong order, and that's on them.
The game does tell you in advance, like
you're supposed to have played Undertale in order to enjoy this.
That is kind of true.
Even so, I'm just kind of like, I absolutely understand your vision of it, of the moment. I just think like, maybe just using the Undertale UI is going to be a little bit of is kind of unnecessary a bit, but like I absolutely do understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to sorry, go on.
No. Finish your thought, please.
No, I was moving on. Is there anything else
to say? I was gonna make a joke about like everybody keeps talking about like how the mayor is this very cold-hearted, strict person, and that is definitely what they're building up to. Mm-hmm. But may I like offer an alternative answer to
Queen.
Her descriptions? Like no, my alternative answer is that she's like Batman because she has a mansion, she's rich, and she knows how to throw hands against criminals. Like, so what if she's like a superhero?
I agree. I agree because she's going to.
She-
I agree because she's going to actively be trying to hunt down and find the knight, not because of the Dark Fountain thing, because she's like the knight is like stealing stuff from all these places. Like they robbed the library and they robbed Toriel's house and then they robbed the church, right? So she's gonna be like vigilanteing, trying to figure out the trick of the night.
Dumb.
Yeah, she's gonna be Batman in Christmas clothes. Like she's gonna be the
damn. What's a Christmas? Is gonna get fired, and then the mayor is going to take over the role as
I need
antagonist.
I need a Christmas themed superhero name, like the Candy Caner, or the candy, the gingerbreader.
The
gingerbread. I'm sorry, I can't come up with one.
Here's one thing I'm interested in.
Gingerguard.
Okay, so like Toby Fox characters aren't like 100% evil. Like Flowey isn't fucking evil like all the way through. It's like all of the characters are like morally gray. So I'm kind of wondering how in particular is Mayor gonna be.
I don't think anyone's really saying the mayor is going to be evil.
No, I don't think she's gonna be evil.
No, I don't think that's not how I'm interpreting what you guys are saying or anyone. But I'm just curious, how do you guys think Mayor's gonna act?
I think she's gonna be in mourning, and that's gonna cloud her judgment. So she's gonna be a little bit like more on. She's gonna be on edge, and so rather than being. All right, put it another way. Have you ever watched like a TV show where normally like cool-headed, strict character starts to lose their composure? They still have like that general cool-headedness, but you can see like the facade cracking.
Yes.
And I think that's what we're gonna see. Like the ice is gonna start cracking. Like she's gonna like try to remain calm, but you're gonna see in like her dialogue and like maybe even her eyes or something that she's like lost it. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Another way I was thinking about, like, to follow up with the main theme of Deltarune of reality and fantasy and stuff, just like, like when the roaring about like delving into fiction to the point you start to lose your grip on reality, I could see like the mayor being like just utter banality and just the complete like banal evil, not evil as in just like, oh, I'm going to murder teenager, just like banal evil, just like, listen, I need you to cut the shit, stop stealing.
Do you mean anti-hero? Do you mean anti-hero?
No, I think.
No.
Do you mean more like an antithesis to fiction, like a very grounded character, a realistic one that's not like into entertainment? Is that what you mean?
Grounded to the point where they are the ground, just like how do I explain this? Like the other, like she's evil in the same way a DMV worker is evil. They just exist to waste your time.
Oh.
Like that's a way I could put it out in like words. I'm trying to
actually now that I think
put
about
it out like.
Now that I think about it, I guess
like
sorry, go on.
Like she's just like reality to the point where it's just unbearably harsh.
I see. That's a really cool way to interpret that, because in like if you look at it, Deltarune is a very like kid fairy tale story. Like, oh, a bunch of teenagers find a mystical world. You know what I mean? So making the foil be this very grounded, realistic adult, like Kids Next Door, makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it is like very like it's urban fantasy, magical otherworld.
It's a common trope.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually am trying to figure out how we could consolidate the ideas of a battle with the mayor with not having to use the Undertale UI if possible.
Or you could just use the Undertale AI because it would be fucking cool.
UI.
Or it could just all be dialogue or whatever, a bunch of like cutscenes or whatever.
Like talk no jutsu.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it would be cooler if it was in a battle.
Well, I could see a first person like zoom in.
Shooter. The game changes.
You're not gonna create a new UI system for the light world when the UI in the light world is meant to just be Undertale.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was also just copied over, like, code-wise, wasn't it?
Yeah. All I'm saying is, I think we will have one battle in the light world against the mayor, and it will use the Undertale UI, and it will be cool.
I don't think it'll be a full battle. I think
there won't be any bullets to dodge. There won't be any bullets to dodge.
What I mean. I think
we won't be able to attack her. It will be just.
I think if it does,
that's always what I've been arguing for.
Then I don't know what's even the point of that. Then
to use the UI.
With Sprite, I guess. I don't know.
I don't see the point of the shock value then.
Yes.
I don't see the point of the shock value then.
First off, it has the cool shock value. Second off, it makes the interaction cooler and memorable because it's the only time it does this in the game. If it was just a fucking dialogue tree, that'd be dumb. But we have this whole acting system from Undertale that we can use right there.
Or you know what? Alternatively, it could also be a chase scene. Like, you know how like in the Dark World sometimes we have like those scenes where the soul shows up and you have to run away from like bullets and dodge it.
Yeah.
It could also just be like with the Wet-Nosed Bandits. You know, you're walking towards the mayor's house and the mayor's about to ambush you and you have to freaking run.
See, I feel like it's
just
way
like in Aoni.
I don't like that.
Aoni.
Anyway, I like this idea and it's totally gonna happen. Anyway, next topic.
Any other theories people have wanted to talk about in this section before we move on to the next one?
I wanted to talk about the timing of the creation of the fountain for chapter 4 because Chris is not going to show up to mass and be like, check this out, and just fucking stab the floor. So I think what's going to happen is, since chapter 3 is presumably going to like the Dark World, we're going to wake up in the morning or whatever. We're going to wait until the nighttime of the chapter 3 day. And like, wait, is the church thing tomorrow?
It's unclear, honestly.
I mean, Rudy said that they're going to church tomorrow.
Yeah, Rudy mentioned that.
Rudy said he might go to church tomorrow, but it also might be like, oh, they go to church every day type shit. It's a little unclear.
The juice, that's also setting it up.
But under the assumption,
there's
that chapter 3 is all Dark World, and that chapter 4 starts with us waking up from the chapter 3 Dark World in the Light World. Under that assumption, I have come up with a theory of what's going to happen. So we're going to have a full Light World segment first, where we can go and do stuff and like visit Castletown and whatnot. And then at some point, to progress the story, we'll have to go to church. And then we go to the church, right? And we sit through mass. Father Alvin will have his one mandatory cutscene. He'll give an exposition dump. His one mandatory cutscene. He'll give an exposition dump about the Light World religion, give us all the relevant information regarding it that will be relevant to the plot. And then everybody will leave. Chris will stay behind, rip out the soul, make the fountain, and then we'll leave the room. Right. And then we will dig around in the Light World for a little bit, and then double back onto the church. Because Noelle's like, I lost my phone. I think I lost it at the church. And then Caddy and Jogatin are also there, and they see Susie, and they're like, we're not going to let Noelle be alone with Chris and Susie. That's not kosher, and then they go.
But
those two are cringe.
I have something I want to say. Because the endings for like the chapters so far, basically like take you right next into the next chapter. Like at the end of chapter 1, Chris makes the fountain. At the end of chapter 2, Chris makes the fountain. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe I don't know if like Chris is gonna rip out their soul in the like middle.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And it also ties back into.
Yeah, my theory is specifically in regards to the idea that chapter 3 will have no Light World. It's specifically to counteract the argument, because people will argue it's like, against Chris Knight being like, oh, like Chris Knight is impossible because we already know for a fact, which isn't a fact at all, by the way, that chapter 3 won't have any light world, and therefore Chris won't be able to make the chapter 4 fountain, right? That's an argument that people make. And my theory is specifically to counter that claim specifically, even with their logic is correct that there won't be a light world in chapter 3, that Chris can still easily make the fountain in chapter 4.
You're letting them win.
I'm not letting them win.
Well,
I'm countering their original claim, which is the strongest form of a counter argument.
Also, like,
you also don't need to listen to them because you're
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they might be right on that point, but they're still wrong about the other point. Is my point?
Yeah. But I think there's definitely going to be some kind of cutscene at the end of chapter 3 where it takes place in the light world. But also, like, in regards to like the chapter ending, setting up like moving right into the next chapter in some way, like I mentioned with the cliffhanger at the end of chapter 4, I do think it's definitely going to be related to Noel.
I don't think there will be a cliffhanger in chapter 4. I think the chapter 4 ending is we go to bed in Noel's house, and that's it.
But
that's it. That's literally it.
But
there's nothing.
I do think the
nothing.
I do think the endings to the chapters are very important because they are reinforcing the fact that there's only one ending because it's always the same, even when you try to do.
But that doesn't mean we have to end on like an insane moment of Chris ripping out their soul and doing something crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't need to. But they're still getting a lot of important focus. So it's still important to remember.
Yeah, it's also important that we also only have 2 points of reference. Of like the first 2 chapters, and it could easily just not be like that later.
I also want to, like, in regards to like the timing of like what happens in the chapters, it's worth considering we do have screenshots of like Susie and Chris throwing a rock into the water, and then the screenshot of them like walking in the rain with the dancing kid or whatever,
which does confirm to us that chapter 4 will have 2 full light world segments, which is what I was talking about earlier.
And since we know that the name of the like song is called like Hometown Morning, at least one of those segments is in the morning, and then the other is presumably in the afternoon.
Yes.
So like it could be we seal the chapter 3 fountain, and then we hang around in Hometown in the morning, and we do the morning things like I presume, based on like the screenshot of Susie throwing a rock into the water, we're gonna do like all the little side quests that required us to be there tomorrow, quote unquote. So like talking to Onion-san or like talking to Metaton. I think that's gonna happen in the second half of chapter 3.
I'm curious to see how that Onion-san.
Those morning screenshots were all from chapter 4.
Yes.
Oh, it says so in the file names.
That's why people think that chapter 3 isn't going to have a light world segment, because they recognize the fact that chapter 4 is like confirmed to have 2 light world segments, one before the dark world and one after.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they don't think there's going to be a light world segment in chapter 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me personally, I think it's a coin flip. I could see it going either way. That we'll have a smaller one in chapter 3. I could see that happening. But like they also could just be right. You know,
he wrote like a little phrase. Toby wrote like a little phrase right next to the track, like after the dark night, the sun shines bright or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
but like
and
that doesn't necessarily mean it's talking about the dark world. That could just be talking about Chris going to bed. You know, after doing the dark world, during the day of chapter 3. It depends.
No, I think it's meant to imply that we're going to go outside after like.
I mean, for chapter 4. That one's for chapter 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the
the
screenshots right below the song are for chapter 4. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't have much more to say about general theories.
I wanted to ask you about a theory I personally am very adamant on. So
everyone?
like, what did you say?
Nothing.
Okay. Do you think that elements are gonna be properly introduced in chapter 3?
Oh yeah, right. The element system that's in the game's code for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Freak.
I don't.
I think elements is a good place to bring into for chapter 3 because like there's obviously going to be a bunch of holy elements in the chapter 4 segment because it's a fucking
and the
church.
sky mantle teases that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are those elements like?
So do we think that
are they affecting any code currently?
Yes.
Yes,
Very sparsely, but yes.
Do some stuff.
Okay.
I would think if the elements are going to be a meaningful thing that you'll actually have to play around in the actual gameplay, then I would say yes, the elements will probably be properly introduced in chapter 3.
I think a few things that could happen regarding the element system is that either it's a kind of a power-up system where like you take that you take that darkener with you or whatever, and like they become some kind of like stat increase in your like if you keep them in your inventory, they change some kind of stat that you have. Or my other idea is that it's a summoning system, but that doesn't make sense with the limitation of like turning to stone if you're in a world that doesn't like belong.
Accommodate you, yeah.
Yeah, accommodate you, yeah. So I think it's a stat boost.
That kind of
stat boost thing.
Stat boost, or certain armors work against certain things, or
yeah, but what I wanted to go into is that in the Spamton sweepstakes, when Spamton had a Q&A on Twitter, he mentioned a bunch of element combos. There was Death Sight for Jevil, Puppet Cut for himself, and then Dark Star and Thunder Light. And I personally believe those are chapter 3 and 4 secret bosses. What about you?
Which elements do you think were the future chapter secret bosses?
I think that's Respect for chapter 3 and Thunder Light for chapter 4.
Which was chapter 3?
Dark and Star.
Dark and Star.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Woody has?
You know
what Woody wears?
He's wearing a star.
He's wearing a star. He's wearing a star.
He's wearing a star.
Ooh, yeah.
Dark cat star cowboy.
Yeah.
So true.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And like star can also mean, a movie star.
Yeah.
And he's in the dark world, so it's Dark Star.
It's a Dark Star like fallen off, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
Dark Star. Isn't that like a Bowser's Inside story thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never played it.
I think the concept of a Dark Star is like a science fantasy thing, a pretty common thing.
Okay, yeah.
And then
I just remember it from there specifically.
Yeah.
Well, a Dark Star would give off negative like photons or whatever.
Yeah. Photon reading is negative. Oh my god!
It's just a black hole.
Yeah.
Then Thunder Light for the chapter 4 secret bosses, because like the sky mantle in the files.
Thunder Light.
Thunder lightning, very, very frightening.
So true. Because the unused sky mantle protects against electricity and holy attacks.
Yes.
I don't know.
Holy.
They could be random. They could be not. Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll know at June 5th.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true.
Not immediately. I mean, not everything is gonna be like.
Oh, dude,
on the first
I'm not ready. I'm not ready for like. I'm not ready for the fact that like I'm gonna be locking myself up for like 2 days or something, and then I'm gonna like go online, and it's gonna be really disorienting seeing people talk about everything without like any summary anywhere, and just like piecing it yourself. That's gonna be insane. Like,
I'm gonna have to avoid Deltarune and Phineas and Ferb spoilers. How am I gonna do that?
And like the day after, so it launches the same day as the Switch 2 with Mario Kart, and then the day after that,
Phineas and Ferb.
like the gate, like the Summer Games Fest. I wanted to say the Game Awards, and I somehow said gay.
The Gay Fest.
The Gay Fest.
Chapter 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what Pride Month is
Yes.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No wonder it's there.
Toby dropping this game on Pride Month.
Yeah.
The Switch 2 is gay.
It is. Well, that's why it's called the Switch.
June 5th. Yeah, the release is coming. It's the release is coming, and that means this theory landscape is gonna change a bit. Theories are gonna die.
And I want to.
This is a great segue into the retrospective portion of the final part of the podcast. Yes.
He's trying to. Chiruba's trying to do the whole segue to our sponsor, except through other topics.
Anyway,
let's get into the topic. Is sponsored by
Nature Box. Whatever.
We're not sponsored by Nature Box.
We're not. But I thought if you wanted to
video
sponsor
is
no.
Okay. Hush.
Anyway.
This video is sponsored by someone. You guys, the people listening to us,
and viewers like you.
Let Chestnut speak.
Anyway.
Okay.
My favorite thing about Chapter 5 is I'll never have to hear somebody say that Chris isn't the knight because of the closet ever again. Yes.
Perchance.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Chapter 5, but I meant 3 and 4. But you know what I mean.
I think a lot about. The idea of Oh, sorry.
No, you keep talking, Zenny.
Okay.
No. I want to hear what Shiruba has to say.
I don't think we properly segued into it.
We did segue into it.
No.
Yes.
No. So basically, we want to talk about how the theory landscape evolved during the post-Chapter 2 years and how that's going to change completely once the new chapters drop.
Yes.
So we're going to look back at some theories. We're going to talk about how the landscape changed since then. We're going to talk about all that good stuff. I personally think it would be very funny to have an award ceremony for Chapter 2 theories. Or no. We'll have a funeral. We'll have a funeral after 3 and 4 come out. We'll do a funeral bit.
We'll have a party and a funeral.
I have that theory survey. I'll be going through the ones that turn out to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. Gonna be fun. You're gonna look at the data and you're gonna be all right, let's see how many of you fuckers were wrong.
It's gonna be it's probably gonna be multiple videos.
You're gonna bring the receipts.
Yeah, you could definitely make a video just on the night poll part.
Oh, probably, yeah. I don't know. I'll figure it out when the game comes out.
I remember looking at some of the more recent numbers, and Chris had both the most 1s and most 10s.
Yeah.
Super polarizing.
It's a very polarizing theory. It's a super polarizing theory.
Chris Knight's ratings were pretty polarizing, but at the same time, they're almost kind of close to Alvin Knight, which was doing a lot better. It was less polarizing, a lot more positive, but they look kind of close, with the amount of
if I remember Alvin
Knight,
he had a lot of 8s. He was consistently high, but not ever reaching super high.
Yeah, with a bunch of 10s, and you could see that as the instead of rating it 1 out of 10 and being super negative with theory, it's rating bombing the other way. But at the same time, I wonder why the rate bombing is happening. Maybe it's because the theory was true all along.
Maybe.
Yeah. You're gonna feel so stupid when Alvin turns around in the church. And he's gonna be he's gonna take a fucking nail and put it on the floor, and then he's gonna pull out the hammer. He's gonna pull out the hammer, and he's gonna be like, "You know what, Chris? I'm sorry. Fuck you." And he's gonna open a fountain right then and there by driving the hammer into the floor, and you're all gonna feel so stupid.
I love how the Alvin Knighters have constructed this entire imaginary world where the knight uses a hammer and nail in order to make the dark fountains. Despite the fact that Queen outright tells us that the knight uses a blade and depicts it as a knife.
Yeah, it's not been shown. It's so weird.
Yeah.
We know that
from like a storytelling perspective, it makes no sense.
And we know Queen is really bad at facial recognition, so she would recognize the knife before she would recognize whoever's face it was.
Yeah.
That, like, you know.
Yes,
It's
knives,
so
my
weird.
favorite type of face.
But
okay.
Sorry.
Even if people are gonna like accept that Chris Knight is true, like, oh, I guess that this is what's happening, people are probably still gonna be toxic about it and probably be like, wow, the story is so bad now. People will probably be like that. Some will, I think.
Well,
I agree. I think there's gonna be at least a handful of people who got too hung up on it, and they're gonna hate the story. And if the game came out all at once, they would have never had time to second guess on it, and they probably wouldn't hate it at all.
Nobody would be saying anything.
That is my game theory.
It's really annoying as is. People are like, oh, it's bad writing. It's bad writing, and then it's with the stuff they're saying, it doesn't really sound like they know shit about writing.
Yeah.
Themselves.
While
it's like the thing about Chris Knight, it's just like I said before, it's set up so perfectly.
Yeah.
Like
the sync
like we see
dialogue.
But then there's the stuff we don't have
dialogue,
enough.
And the TV dialogue.
And then there's the stuff we don't have enough information about, and apparently that debunks it. Or whatever, like stuff we don't have enough information to properly know, and because it's super vague, it could point towards the opposite thing, which means Chris Knight is super wrong and impossible.
And absolutely impossible, and the only actual explanation is that some guy was in the closet.
Yeah.
I think I want to mention this in the theory survey video stuff in the night section thing. It's that like the anti-Chris Knight stuff is like, it kind of started as like kind of trying to correct like the way people, like everyone was like looking at the chapter 1 ending with like, oh, it's Kara, Chris is being possessed by Kara.
Yes.
And all of like the surface level readings of like Undertale,
it was very much it was very much reactionary to the chapter 1 ending, and that being, you know, a bait and switch.
And also like some early surface level readings of like Undertale, like with how Sans acting, and we have like memes for like, I remember your genocides with Sans.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's very much that. I also think a lot of it was people just content farming to a point where they're like, oh, well, I have to be contrarian in order to get views. If I say that the ending was actually bullshit, I'll get tons of views. Yeah. I think that was a part of it.
I think so.
You continue.
No, you can go.
Okay, I just wanted to say that when it comes to like the theory landscape, it's all going to drastically change because pre-chapter 3 and post-chapter 2 is gonna be the only time on Earth where we just do not know that much of the game. And even though there's a lot of beef and like we don't see eye to eye with, like, for example, you know, Chris Knighters and Alvin Knighters, I think we should cherish this because this is the last time we're gonna see this fandom like that. Yeah.
We're gonna go from having less than a quarter of a game to half the game.
Yeah, it's like the lead up to Smash Brothers, right? Where like sometimes hype cycle is like a really important part of it. Like just speculating and stuff. And so, like Kiwi is absolutely right. I think we should be cherishing the last few moments of like the post chapter 2 era. And it's also like the era of like, I feel like it's the era of YouTube theorists in general for Deltarune. Like you could make some theories after chapter 1, but chapter 2 is when we started seeing a lot of people become theorists.
Absolutely.
With just chapter 1, there was like barely anything to work off of. With chapter 2, there was like patterns to notice, like things that like come up multiple times.
To say nothing of Snowbird.
Now we have chapter 3 and 4, and it's going a lot more towards just one path. It's pretty obvious where it's going more and more the more we get.
It's also the fact that Toby has said that we shouldn't have to wait as long as we did for chapter 5. Like chapter 5 is going to come sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
so the time,
I'm pretty sure it's gonna take quicker.
The time between everyone finishing chapter 4 and everyone getting chapter 5 is going to be much shorter. So there's going to be less space for like tons and tons of videos. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the Deltarune videos that you see on YouTube is kind of the result of people rotating the same like 3 hours of like the same like 4 or 5 hours of gameplay in their heads like every day and seeing how they can remix the elements into a new theory. And so we're not going to get that like massive separation that gave people the space to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is definitely a golden era, a golden age of theories.
I
think ultimately what's going to happen, in my eyes, I think this is what's going to happen is whoever was right, whoever got shit right, are just kind of become like the lords of the theory community. They're just going to become the ringleaders. Everybody else is kind of just going to fall to the wayside.
I really hope it's not like that. Like, I enjoy every single theory because it's nice to see like people dedicated.
I mean
to
that
game
more so in the
theorizing.
sense that they're gonna take essentially a leadership role within the community. They're gonna be the ones who are pushing the ideas more forward than others. Their voices are gonna be heard more clearly and considered more reasonably.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Which actually there is something I do actually kind of want to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Like I said, this is going to be like the end of the real golden age of theory crafting for Deltarune because like yes, we won't we'll have a lot more to work with, so we'll have a lot more to solidify the patterns that we've developed. Like, let's turns out, chess theory actually pretty accurate and stuff. Maybe not to the letter that some people say, but like maybe there's something to it or stuff. Like that's example. But like we'll have a lot more to work with and a lot more to settle down into a proper pathway and stuff. It's going to be like we're going to be ending the theory stage, and then we're going to enter the analysis era.
Which that sounds cool.
We're gonna have enough
actually properly sit down
and actually analyze the game. You know, I agree.
While being in this theory community, I kind of realized that like analysis and like thinking about like the actual story in relation to the characters is just like artistically it's just way more interesting than like thinking about like deep lore Gaster. It's
my friend cowboy.
This kind of the way of looking at like games and art and stories has been so popularized by like game theory and FNAF, you know. It's I don't know. It's gotten a little tiring.
I mentioned
I kind of realized
continue.
Stories. It's like actual stories that want to say something, not just secret stuff you have to look into to actually know what's going on. It's too much. Sometimes it can be fun, but when there's like nothing in the main plot, it's kind of poo-poo.
After 3 and 4 come out, sorry.
I mean, like, they're like for Deltarune specifically, there are like things you actually do need to turn around and dig to discover like interesting.
But there is
stuff.
like
but like as an actual like an analysis of the information that we're given, like we're finally being able to like sit down and understand. Oh, this is what it's actually saying. This is everything that's been set up. This is everything that has been brought up to our attention that we were able to like notice from the very beginning, and all of this is leading me to say I never want to hear the term red herring.
Yes.
Ever heard of red herrings, buddy?
Dear God.
Yeah.
This must be the work of red herring. Like, I don't want to hear that ever again. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, take your puppy and Scooby-Doo shit. Go somewhere else with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
A good red herring. A good red herring should should not only just be like it. I don't know.
Like red herrings really don't work narratively unless it's specifically a fucking murder mystery, like killer of the week type story, right? If we're doing like a different murder mystery every week and it's functionally the same, it's very formulaic, then red herrings are important for a narrative because you have to have 5 culprits and one of them's the real one, and then the other ones are red herrings. But like, that is so clearly not what the fuck Deltarune is. Deltarune is not a fucking murder mystery.
No,
it's not. It's like,
but I do want to say this. Okay, red herrings. They're supposed to make you think that something else. It's supposed to make something look like it's the thing that is the thing, but it turned out it was something else. But okay, let's talk about it in relation to Chris Knight. Okay, so the game wants you to think it's Chris, but then it turns out it's someone else. But it has to do a lot more than make you think it's Chris. It's not simply just a good red herring if it makes you think it's Chris. It has to actually like. It doesn't have to like throw everything out the window with Chris. You know,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's just not good. Like here's the biggest issue: you don't introduce the red herring that is more interesting than the actual culprit. Right? That's like a huge issue with Elven Knight. It's like Elven is fucking boring and lame and uninteresting, and nobody knows who he even is. Right? You ask a casual Deltarune fan, someone who's played Undertale and Deltarune all the way to the end, they don't remember Alvin. Like, I had a person join my Discord server the other day, and he didn't know who the fuck Alvin was. And he was watching Deltarune theories, like hardcore Deltarune theories, because those are the only people who watch my theories.
Actually, that's actually insane. Yeah, that should tell you everything that it's a horrible theory.
It's like he's not viable as a candidate. He does not meet like the bare minimum requirements to be considered the knight. You know?
Oh my God. Yeah. And
it's like it's actually like bad in the sense that like I've been promised Chris Knight, waited 3 years, and then have been delivered that it was bullshit. So it's this other fucking guy you don't even remember. It's insane, especially when you factor in that the Chris Knight plot twist is revealed at the end of the chapter 2, which is the demo. That's the end of the demo. You're gonna play through the free demo, get to the ending, see the Chris Knight reveal, and be like, "Oh my God, that's an amazing plot twist. This is crazy. I gotta play the rest of this game." And then you spend $25. You're gonna spend $25 to see how this plot twist develops the story, and it's gonna reveal like 30 minutes in the chapter 3 that it was actually bullshit. That's fucking terrible.
Yeah, the endings are what people are gonna remember.
It's actually that turtle over there.
It's what
is the one
the endings are what people are gonna remember. The endings are gonna be what people remember.
Yeah, what are you saying, Dante?
No, I was just gonna say like, oh, you thought it was you thought this incredibly interesting idea of the protagonist actually being the antagonist also. No, it's not that. Actually, it's that turtle over there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a ninja turtle over there.
Who would write their story like that?
Fucking Michelangelo over here is the knight, I guess.
It's that priest over there.
It's literal like Scott Coffin ash.
Chris Knight is so
Yeah,
Chris Knight is so cliche. Instead, it's going to be somebody to subvert our expectations, like a priest.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to say earlier was that red herrings should do more than just think. Red herrings should do more than just make you think one character did it. Just like how twists should be more than just shocking.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing is, so I wanted to bring up the concept of twists. A lot of the thing with like the Chris Knight debate is that, which, to bring this home to the theme of retrospectives, Chris Knight is kind of like the last big debate of like the post chapter 2 era. But people, they want the twist to be the payoff when that's not how that works. The twist should like, I don't think the twist should ever really be the payoff. Like, we're not watching a Shyamalan movie here. We're playing a Toby Fox game, and so
I see.
Yeah. I'm sure you do. And like, it just okay. The twist should be the setup for the payoff. It should be the thing that destabilizes your footing, so that when the twist actually happens on screen, if any, you get like effectively sucker punched, but you know it was set up. Like,
but also, like, we the audience already know what Chris is doing, but the other characters don't.
Yeah.
Which is that's also important to remember.
Yes.
There are plenty of like similar twists that do similar stuff like that, like removing knowledge from like other characters, but the audience being aware of it.
Yes, it adds the dramatic irony.
Yeah, dramatic irony.
And
it's a genre that exists.
And then as we leave this era of theorizing, and we enter a phase where half the game presumably is now released, I don't want to hear anyone ever say that the I don't want to hear anyone ever say again. No, oh God, I don't want anyone ever hear. I don't ever want to hear again that, oh, I don't know what Deltarune's themes are. Like, they're not, like, I've seen people complain before that, like, oh, Undertale's thesis was like immediately thrown at you, and so you like understood immediately what the game was about. And it's like, how do you say that?
Yeah.
And like, when Deltarune like smacks you in the face with its themes like every 5 seconds,
it's so like, unsubtle. It's so unsubtle. I can't even begin.
Just like, at the very start, during the freaking Gunner Maker, no one can choose who they are in this world. Right away, you have that. Then you have Susie. Then you have Susie saying that your choices don't matter, right? And then you have Rouse talking about how the Darkners exist to serve Lightners, all coming together to tell you that the main theme of the story is agency or lack thereof. You know, it just bothers me so much when people are like, oh, it's not as obvious as Undertale. Oh, well, I'm sorry you're not reading.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone arguing against that they don't see the themes of Deltarune. I never saw that.
I've like, the hardcore fans in general they understand that there are themes. It's just I've seen people like turned away from Deltarune because they don't think the themes are as immediately obvious as Undertale, which I understand. Undertale is a complete 4 to 5 hour game that you can play in a single setting. I get it, but like,
it's definitely I feel like it's definitely a matter of like the game not being complete, so it hasn't properly explored all of its themes to the fullest yet because it's not done yet.
That being said, our main character literally rips out the thing that's causing them to be controlled by us.
Yeah.
Several times.
I do think chapter 1 is a bit more on the nose with what the message is.
Yeah, but like, even in chapter 2, right? Like, Spampton, like, I guess you do have to go out of your way to fight like Spampton Neo.
Yeah.
But like, Spampton Neo fight, a lot of it has to do with, like, again, lack of agency or desire for agency. That's how I've been reading it.
A puppet on a string.
Like people say the game is about, you know, fate versus being able to determine your own fate. I think that's a big part of it, but I think you can fold that into agency as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say that those are functionally the same idea, just differently.
Yeah, and there's also the equally important theme of like fiction and escapism.
Yeah, which I also would say ties into the same themes. I think all the themes are very interconnected. It's not touching on any one given idea, but it is, all of these ideas are interconnecting with each other.
Yeah. And we don't necessarily know what the payoff
is. Multi-layered story.
Yeah, we don't know what the payoff is going to be.
Yes.
I get it. but also I just don't want to hear anyone ever complain they don't know what Deltarune's about.
I can understand not having a full understanding of it, because that's easy to see not have a full understanding of it because it's not done. But you'd definitely be able to pick up what it's trying to say or it's going to say
right away. Yes. You know? Yeah.
Especially since the game opens up with a bullshit character creator and then going into no one can choose who they are in this world. It's like
which is It's funny because like I understand completely why people say they like Undertale more, especially because Undertale is it's entirely its own like game. It's 4 to 5 hours. You can beat it in a single setting. But personally, just from like the first 2 chapters, I'm already hooked on Deltarune a little more than I am with Undertale, just because of the sort of more. It's subtly dark. Like it's not like, you know, oh, it's dark and edgy, but it's tastefully dark in the way that Majora's Mask is compared to Ocarina of Time. And I bring up that comparison a lot because Deltarune is essentially Majora's Mask for Undertale.
And it's an alternate alternate world. Time Loop may be considered to be one of the best games ever. Has a sequel.
Yeah.
Yes, but like to go on the back, I think like the subtle darkness of Deltarune, it's honestly genuinely one of my favorite parts about it. Just like you can see the implications of things that aren't being said, of just like it's just mwah. Like you could just like see like, Chris's main item that they carry around is a knife. Oh, and they take out their heart, which causes the damage noise. It's just like, I wonder what's that setting up.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. I do think Deltarune is a very deep game, potentially deeper than Undertale.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can understand why some people can get a little confused by it in some places.
There's already so much more going on, more characters, and it's
especially easy to get confusing if you say watch a particularly bad Deltarune theory at like face value and without understanding the story, and then assume that everything they say is correct. You know? And then you come out of it also, like just believing a bunch of insane nonsense, you know?
Yeah. And I also acknowledge that I am in a bubble of like other hardcore fans, right? So that I know like every inch of this game because I'm always talking to other people who also know every inch of this game. And I get that, but I don't know. I don't think it's that hard to see what the game wants to tell you. We don't know how it's going to tell it to us yet, but you can tell what it wants to say. I don't think it's that hard. And
to add my final thoughts on the retrospective of the theory community, just like this is incredibly. We are an incredibly specific time with a golden age that will not be here after Chapter 4 comes out. That being said, I will not look back when I jump off the ship into the Chapter 3 and 4 one. I cannot wait to start my Chris analysis.
Yeah, same. I'm happy that it's over. I'm ready to move on to the next phase of my life.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting 3 years. I think we're all glad it's over.
I am stoked to move on to chapters 3 and 4, but I am going to miss a lot of like the like sort of. It's not going to die immediately. I think it's gonna like we're gonna get one final like burst of theory videos, and we're gonna get new theorists on the scene. Just from the new materials that we have.
It's important to remember that we're going to be seeing a lot of people just covering what was actually in the game, especially since so much stuff will be hidden and you have to do like multiple playthroughs in order to find and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're going to see
there's so much to go over because we're doubling the amount of gamer have, right?
So
2 chapters at once.
So we're going to get, a lot of those kind of videos, and then we're going to get theory videos, and then I don't know if we're gonna have time for like the more insane, like brain rot type of genre of theory video.
Maybe.
I don't.
I hope.
I think that could happen for the secret bosses, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that might.
I hope that chapter 5 comes out at a reasonable pace for us to, like, still be conscious and know what something is, to the point of which we can play it and not like go down to like the path of just like hey, look over there, that bake sale over there, it says one recurring bake sale, but this is the first bake sale in the entire Undertale Deltarune franchise. Ignore the Muffet one; she doesn't count. This is proof that Bratty is the knight.
Also, like just as a quick aside, this game coming out in June breaks the like pattern of only fall releases. So like chapter 5 can hit us anytime. Toby 5, Toby 5, Toby Fox, not Toby 5, Toby Fox, Toby Fox,
the 5
Toby Fox can come out of nowhere and he could like beat us over the head with chapter 5 and we'll never know it. You'll be making your magnum opus theory video based on chapter 3 and 4, and then he's gonna drop chapter 5's trailer or whatever, and it's gonna be,
Oh, I hope that happens.
Oh, it happened to you just now with the 3-4 trailer.
Yeah.
Yep, it happened to me.
And it can happen to you.
We're probably gonna...
And it can happen to you,
I was
Sonny.
adamant on like the release dates being holidays or important dates. So chapter 1 was Halloween and chapter 2 was Undertale's anniversary. And I thought like the release for 3 and 4 will be April 20th. But no, I was proven wrong.
Yeah.
We're probably, with like theories being proven wrong, we're probably gonna see like fan fiction or like original stories based on some of these theories, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
I think so. Yeah. Like Zenny made a point of Des designs being used as OCs.
That's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Because okay, so if you're not in the furry community, you would have no idea of the fact that like Noelle and Asriel, but I want to talk about Noelle. Noelle alone created an entire genre of holideer personas. And like,
oh my God,
there's just a ton of people who have personas that are just Noelle XPs, and now we're gonna get a bunch of Des XPs. You know?
People also got like a lot of people with goat sonos have them because Undertale.
Asriel. Yeah. well, yeah. The Dreamer family. The Dreamer family as a whole.
Yeah.
I know. Dreamer family as a whole changed the persona meta. I remember when back in 2015, I started seeing like people make boss monster personas, and the funniest thing I saw was someone like who has a Poke-sona complaining, "Look at these unoriginal boss monster OCs." I'm like, dog, what? Like, look in the mirror.
I love the human creativity spirit.
Yeah, like
I do think we'll see a lot of like night AUs and stuff of like, what if instead of chapter 3 happening, we just pretend it didn't happen, and then somebody else is the knight, and Chris is a little Blorbo who is just being controlled by the player because the player is evil for playing the game. You know.
Well, then that would just be that would just be the 90s cartoon reboot. I don't know if you guys ever watched the reboot.
Yeah.
But like I actually want to bring this up, like, just in case to the Alviniters that are listening to this video, like, don't get me wrong, Alvin Knight could work amazingly. It just does not work with what has been set up so far. You need to write an entirely different story for Alvin to be the knight and be actually good, which I actually did once, and a lot of people did say that it was very interesting. The problem with just like everything is pointing to Chris.
Yeah. But I think it's really funny that you say that, because I see the anti-Chris Knighters say the exact same thing about Chris Knight all the time. That it's like, Chris Knight could be an amazing story if Toby was actually writing the game to have Chris as the knight. And it's just like, dude, Chris being the knight has already been revealed.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm giving them a taste of their
own
that
story of like, okay, that story about that Japanese soldier that kept fighting for like 50 years after the World War II. That's gonna be like some of the like hardcore anti-Chris Knighters. They're gonna keep fighting a war that
anyone that creates a fountain is the knight of that dark world. Chris is just
and
the knight
Toby
of that
Fox
world.
himself. Toby Fox himself will need to call the orders, walking up to them and say, Chris is the knight, and they, who's been spent the last 40 years in the jungle murdering civilians, will look up at him and say, but Papaya.
Papaya. I love you, Papaya. Do you think we're going to see Papyrus this time? Like, are we actually going to get to hang out?
I don't.
No.
I think it's gonna be chapter 7, honestly.
I feel like Toby's just going to keep like keeping that carrot on the stick, and just,
I don't think we're seeing Papyrus until at least chapter 5.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. You know, I like to. I've said it before. Me bitching about theories or whatever, it's all kayfabe. I'm doing it because I love the WWE style smack talk that theorists like do with each other. I think it's fun. It's all in good fun. No one's as long as you don't get really as long as you don't get personal, as long as you don't get mean about it. So I'm pretty open to other knight candidates, but Papyrus Knight is the only one where I will break kayfabe and be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" No.
Papyrus.
Yeah, Papyrus sucks.
Yeah. Papyrus Knight is the only one that'll make me break character to be like, no, you need to stop right now. That doesn't make any sense. Get out. Like,
it was always off. It always felt off to me. I was just like, what?
Yeah, even I
kind of
agree.
shocked by how popular it became.
Yeah,
kind of.
With Alvin, I can understand, right? They look at the bold and brash meme in the corner, and like, oh, chapter 1's connected to Alvin, therefore Alvin has to be the knight. I get the logic there, right? I can see the logical through line where Alviniters have come from, right? They shut themselves off from Chris Knight. They drank the anti-Chris Knight Kool-Aid. I get it. I understand their logic. I don't think they're like stupid for coming to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand anyone who believes in Papyrus Knight. I really don't.
Yeah.
I have no idea what their thought process is at all.
Either way, everyone's gonna become a Chris Knight at this point because the game is releasing soon.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. But like
it's been fun though. It's been fun.
It's been a fun ride. Okay, so we do need to wrap up in like
we're almost
40
out of
minutes.
time.
I've been trying to do it.
Any final thoughts in the last 4 minutes?
I think you're a little anxious about it. But we can always restart Craig and just string the audio together. It's not that big a deal. But let's how about we do like a rapid fire theory / crack theory round before we end everything.
I don't even know what else to say.
Okay, let's bring out our genuinely no logic,
thoughts, horseshit theories. Yes.
Okay, I can start.
I'll start.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, no. Chestnut started a bit ago. Chestnut started a few hours ago.
What, with the Des fucking thing?
Des possesses Chris.
Yeah. You know what? I'll give you a different one that I'm kind of famous for. I believe that Chris is the second voice, and that the second voice dialogue is a flashback to Chris creating Ralsei, and that the full line is, "Your original purpose will now be discarded. No one can choose who they are in this world. Your name is Ralsei."
Chapter 3 will have Blook, Metaton, and Mad Mew Mew all with their like dream bodies. Mike and Tenna are both main villains. Toriel is really homophobic. Rudy actually lives to chapter 7, like survives. Ralsei is the villain. Pizza Pants is the knight and goes postal and kills everybody. Black from Homestuck, another Homestuck music, will appear. The knight is a spirit that possesses people to do dark fountains.
Okay.
Onion Sun's song is Penumbra Phantasm, and that's the end of the song. That's my favorite one.
My crack theory is that so Papyrus Knight doesn't make any sense, but on the Steam page it still says that he's busy. It's because he's the man. He's the man behind the tree. He gives out eggs. He has an egg in the dating sim in Undertale. That's my crack theory.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, you say that, but my genuine crack theory is that Papyrus is Gaster. Like, not just straight up a Gaster.
Yeah, I believe it. I think Gaster is a fusion of Sans and Papyrus together. They do the Dragon Ball fusion dance.
No.
That's my crack version.
Not even a fusion, just Gaster.
Well, that's my version, is that's the fusion.
Yeah.
All right, we will argue about this for the next 10 hours.
Well, honestly, I've already touched on this, but I think that Mare is going to be like a superhero. She's going to be like a comic writer, or she's going to be like Batman, and the intense part of her personality is going to come from the fact that she's trying to like make Noelle her successor, and my proof is that she's trying to physically train her body with the track and field shit.
That's just Dirk Strider from Homestuck.
No. You don't understand. Yeah, you don't understand. She's training her legs so she can do the rider kick. Like she's the reindeer kick. That's my crack theory. Is that she's a superhero.
And she always every time. And training her lungs because she needs to. That's why she crucifies Noelle every day.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I have another check theory, but we can't check. Maybe we got like an extra clip after this. But Chestnut is. Wait, you already said your theory.
I said mine, but I want to re-clarify that mine is my crack theory that I 100% genuinely believe is correct.
Yeah.
Deltarune.
It's a fun game. And we've talked about it for a while now. It's been fun.
Okay. Okay, everybody, listen. We've got like 2 minutes. Sharuba has been panicking for the last
to segue into this for ages.
He's panicking, even though we can restart Craig. By the way, Craig is the bot that records our audio. Has a limit of 6 hours. Well, he's not a guy. He's not a guy.
Fucking Craig.
No, he's our human editor.
Yeah, he's our producer, Craig.
Anyway, the point
is that we're leaving.
We don't have to restart.
We're closing off, and we had a lot of fun. And the way this is going to work is that everybody's going to upload a piece of this episode, except for me, because I'm not really a theorist, not yet. Maybe 3/4 is my era, but I would like everyone to say goodbye. Let's go. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Very well.
Johnny,
it was very fun.
This has been Hometown FM.
I really enjoyed this.